Hey, what's up guys, Jack here from Magpie, back again with another album review, and this week we're going to be covering Tiger's Jaw's latest release, Spin. So Tiger's Jaw are an emo indie band from Pennsylvania in the USA with 5 studio albums to their name, with the latest one coming before Spin in 2014, which was Charmer, and then their breakthrough release, Tiger's Jaw, was very well received as well, and it kind of made them burst onto the scene a bit more. Songs like Chemical, I Saw Water are big hits in the emo scene, and Tiger's Jaw are really amongst those bands, you know, Turnover, Title Fight, Basement, those sorts of bands. They are in and amongst those names. Tiger's Jaw have definitely evolved their sound throughout their 10 years of band. The biggest change coming last time out with Charmer. Sonically, you can hear that they've moved away from the emo punk elements and moved towards some indie poppier elements as well. And Spin is definitely the next step in that evolution. If Charmer was this dry run, then Spin is this finished product. It's much more rounded, much more polished. As I said, this is definitely a solid release for Tiger's Jaw. It's nothing that's going to set the world alight, but it's definitely evidence that they've evolved as a band, and they're just tweaking their sound as they go, not doing anything overly groundbreaking or overhauling their sound. It's just tweaking it here and there, polishing off the edges, and yeah, putting out a really good album. So to describe the sound of this album, it's much more mid-tempo. There's some slow songs in there. There's not as many punk elements as have been involved in previous releases, and the melodies are much more well-rounded, and there's a production quality on it that has took out some of the whiny vocals that are just bit too much on some of the other songs previous to Spin. Ben has really sort of toned that down a little bit, and it's gone for a more mellow mid-tempo. And I think that is partly down to the production on this album. It's much more well-rounded, it's much more polished, and I think that's got something to do with Will Yip. I mean, we've talked about it before on previous videos, and you can definitely hear some elements from some of the bands that he's worked with in the past. And this isn't the first time that he's worked with Tiger's Jaw, but I feel as if he's brought in some elements that he might have learned, or some tricks that he might have put to Tiger's Jaw, and they took that on board. You look at the likes of Turnover, Basement, and Title Fight, and you can definitely hear those little nuances on this album as well. And the lyrics have improved as well. I mean, it's not just a stringing together lyrics and talking about teenage pain and angst. It's more about a storytelling aspect of things. And if you go back and read the lyrics, they are very interesting. And I feel as if they're not talking about that teenage pain and that angst, and it's good that they've moved away from that, because it feels as if their audience as well might have grown up with Tiger's Jaw. I mean, Tiger's Jaw have been a band since about 2005, 2006, so it's been a long time coming, and they're finally maturing and growing up a little bit, and I feel as if that is only working out in their favour. Songs like Guardian and Window demonstrate this mid-tempo feel that they've brought to the new album, and it gives me, you know, little reminders of Saves the Day or Petal as well, sort of throwback to those bands. You look at Escape Plan, and the jazzy bass line on O Time really calls back to the self-titled effort. Some standout tracks on the album, and I'm a personal fan of album openers, and this one Follows has a really nice bridge breakdown sort of thing, talking about breathing it in slow, breathing out and letting go. That sort of constant repetitive nature to that bridge really sort of gets in your ear, and has that earworm planted firmly in your brain. And then the album closer, Window, as well, that sort of that newer side of things, bringing those indie poppier elements as well, really works for it. And to have those two songs bookmark the album in such a way is it works really well. And finally, I just wanted to talk about the chemistry between the two full-time members of the band, Ben and Brianna, who are both vocalists. Ben plays the guitar, Brie plays the keyboard as well, and that's where you hear those elements come in. They both work in such a way, and I feel as if it's quite unique for this scene to have this female vocalist and this male vocalist work in this way. They both have their individual songs, but then they also work with the harmonies as well, and that's another improvement that they've made, is working together more in harmony, not just black and white, having each other's songs, their own songs to themselves. Overall, I'd say this is a very chill album, mid-tempo songs with interesting lyrics, and yeah, some really catchy hooks in there as well. And if you want to catch Tiger's Jaw at any shows or anything, I'm afraid they've only got the UK festival dates at Reading and Leeds, so if you wanted to catch them there, that's the only place you're going to be able to do so. And this is the first time that they're hitting up Reading and Leeds, and they're heading up on the pit stage as well, so make sure you check out the likes of Narwhals and While She Sleeps. So that's been the review for Tiger's Jaw's Spin. Let us know what you think of the album by dropping a comment down below. Also subscribe while you're there, and then check out our social medias in the description: Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, always uploading on there, so make sure to check it out as well. I've been Jack, and we'll see you next time.